Okay, hello everyone, and welcome to Storytime with Dave. I am Dave. I am also your host on both of those things. This is what you should do. You should subscribe to the podcast. That's what you should do immediately. This way you'll get notifications when I have a new episode, which will be on a near daily basis. It'll be almost every day. And you know what? If I miss a day, you know what you're going to get the next day? 2 notifications, because I'm going to make 2 new episodes if I miss a day, and so on and so forth. I might even do 2 episodes in a day if I didn't miss a day. That's just how much I produce. I'm a content king. So you should also rate it 5 stars, and you should also tell a friend about it. Okay, we got to get the comma. This is the quest for the comma. Always keep that in mind. I need a comma, okay? I need a comma on Instagram, and I need a comma on my listens on this podcast. Like on each podcast, I need to get a comma there. So join me on this quest for the comma. Help me out if you can. I need all the help I can get. I'm going to figure out new ways to generate the comma. The website's coming along. It'll be done this week, guaranteed. You heard it here first, folks. And it's a nice fucking website so far. It really is. It's nice. Okay, so this is what I wanted to talk about today. I was doing my 10 ideas for the day, right? And I do those every day, which, again, I can't recommend this enough. If you're going to do anything on a daily basis, one of those things, if you're looking for a new thing to do every day as like a form of disciplining yourself or whatever, you should think of 10 ideas every day. What are you going to think about ideas about? Well, it could be anything, but it helps to be practical. So if I think to myself, let me think of 10 things I want to write jokes about, this is very practical. And then I'll go ahead and write the jokes. But I have to think of maybe 10 things that I want to say through comedy, then build the jokes from there. It's better than what I usually do, which is a joke pops into my head and I write the joke and then I kind of reverse engineer it and try to figure out what I'm trying to say through the joke. That's one way to do it. That's the way I've always done it, but it's not as good as doing the opposite, where you find the meaning of the joke, what is the purpose of the joke, and then write from there. So that's really been working for me, and I've only been doing it a few days now, and I'm making fire. I can't wait till the next time you see me. You're going to hear some fire, and you're going to see it in my body language and everything. I can't wait. You guys should be excited. You really should. Okay. Now, my 10 ideas today was about losing weight. Okay, it was about things that I can do to lose weight. Some of them that I wrote were things that I've been doing to lose weight, but maybe that I could do a little bit better. And so I will get to that. But I started writing kind of, I guess you would call it, it's not really a blog post. It was like I was writing down things about my weight and in my life. And, certainly it's been who didn't get bullied? Who didn't get bullied growing up? Raise your hand. I know I can't see you, but I'm sure I don't see any hands. Everyone got bullied at some point, right, for something. Like me, I had big buck teeth, right? And my middle name was Norman. So those were 2 sources of bullying. If anyone found out my middle name was Norman, boom, bullied, okay? If people saw my teeth, which you couldn't not see them. I had such bad buck teeth that I couldn't close my mouth fully. Try to envision that. You know how bunny rabbits, they have the teeth that go over, like they can't close their mouths fully, and the teeth go over their bottom lip? That was me. So let's get into this though, because I'll get to the ideas. Those will be at the end. So if you want to just hear the ideas of ways that you can lose weight, then fast forward to like the last 5 minutes or so. But otherwise, maybe you can listen to this, maybe you can relate. Because everyone has an interesting relationship with their weight. And even people who are in really good shape, like my sister, for example, is one of these people who's like not fat and has never been fat, but has like fat mentality. You know what I mean? Where she always thought that she was too fat. I mean, I could do a whole series of podcasts on my sister. And I will get into my sister, but I should just have her on the podcast. I really should. And I will, but not right now. And she's a nutritionist, so she'd be good to talk about things like this about. Now, this is what I wanted to talk about. Like, I've had an interesting experience with weight. Now, that was the other thing I got bullied for. Okay? So let me start by saying this. I kind of wrote out these ideas, and it's sort of like a blog post, but not quite, and it'll become a blog post. That'll be the nice thing about having my website is I can post these as blogs too. And so if you don't feel like listening to the podcast, you can just read the blog post and it'll be all right there. And then it also helps to visualize these things because I like lists. Personally, I like lists and bullet points. I'm big on lists and bullet points. I like a page with a lot of indents, you know? I like a page where there's some writing that's all the way over on the left, and then there's an indent with some bullet points, and then there's a second indent with more specific bullet points. Do you guys see what I'm trying to say right now? Don't you like that visual? When there's like, okay, title line, bullet point, and then boom, over to the right again. Now we're like almost in the middle of the page. And these are more bullet points. And maybe there's numbers and letters too. I really like that. I like that. So that's kind of how I write some of these things. Maybe when I write it as a blog post, I'll kind of keep it with that formula because like that's what you do, man. You figure out things that you like that maybe other people would like and then do it your way. You don't have to make a blog post the same way that everyone else makes a blog post, right? Am I crazy? Okay, so this episode will be focused on my experience with fluctuations in weight and my new strategy, which is working better than any strategy I've used before. And when I say fluctuate, like over the years, it's like I'll go up 20 pounds, down 10 pounds, up 5 pounds, down 10 pounds, down another 5 pounds, up 15 pounds. It's all over the place. And what I've been doing lately, so basically since January, I've probably lost 30 pounds. Okay, so that's, how long is that? That's like not even 5 months. It seems like a while. That's gonna be one of the factors in here. Why I think that this way is the best way. Okay. So, but we'll get to that. That'll be towards the end because that's one of the ideas for the end. Okay. So, and it also seems like this is going to be the lasting strategy. This is going to be the strategy that I continue with, that'll continue to work and then bring me down to the weight, my ideal weight. Now, here's what makes this important to me. We've talked about this before, but it's worth mentioning again and again and again. And so I will. You want to visualize your ideal self, right? This is a Nietzsche idea. And I love this. This is one of my favorite Nietzsche ideas. But it's like, okay, visualize. What does your ideal self do? Okay? And that's what we talked about before. Like me, my ideal self is touring, selling out theaters, doing comedy shows all over professionally, and doing other ventures with friends, and having a really successful podcast, and doing all of these things, and just lots of like being very busy, and that's my ideal self. But then I think about it like this. The other day I'm thinking to myself, what does my ideal self look like? What does he look like? Well, I'll tell you one thing. He's in good shape. Okay? He's not afraid to take his shirt off, right? Not jacked. Just not chubby. You know, like not skinny, but in good shape. A healthy weight, right? This is my ideal self. He's at a healthy weight. Now I'm getting there. I really am. I mean, I just told you I lost 30 pounds, but there's still some room to go. So let's talk about this. Let's talk about this story, okay? And a primary component of this story is man boobs, okay? It's all about the man boobs. Now, everyone's body carries weight differently. Some people carry weight better than others. Some people, it spreads across their body and they kind of have an even proportionality of fat all throughout their body. And then you might not even think. Those are the type of people where you're like, how much do you weigh? Like 180 pounds? And they're like, no, I weigh like 240. And you're like, what the fuck? Okay, maybe not that much, but you know what I mean? When you're like, geez, Louise, you're dense, you know? And for me, it's like my nipples are like fat hoarders. You know what I mean? My nipples are like, oh, give us the fat over here. Don't, they're like greedy with it. And so I've always had these, basically. Not always. Okay, so let's get back to the beginning. Little kid, right? I will post pictures of myself so you have reference when I was a little tyke, when I was a toddler. Probably the most adorable toddler you've ever seen. I actually am kind of bummed out that my parents didn't force me to be a child actor. I would have been the face of like an advertising campaign for a kids company, like Toys R Us spokesman, dude. I was adorable. Trust me, when you see these pictures, you're going to be like, oh man, that is a cute kid. Yes, I was. Confirm that. Okay, and I was skinny. Like some people are naturally fat from when they're not naturally fat. No one, I don't think anyone's really naturally fat. Some people are what you would call endomorphs, and that means that their hips are wider than their shoulders. Now we're getting into some physiology stuff. There's 3 body types, and it all has to do with your shoulders and your hips and the alignment. An endomorph, generally people who are really fat around their midsection, like huge round people, they're endomorphs. Their hips are wider than their shoulders. But also when you see women and they got these fat fucking asses, they're endomorphs. They have wider hips than their shoulders. Then you have the opposite, which is the ectomorph. That's like the really skinny guy. These are like the people who look like skeletons. You know those people, and they eat and eat and eat. They eat all day, and those are called ectomorphs. That's the shoulders are wider than the hips. Okay, and then you have mesomorphs, where the shoulders and hips are in alignment, and those are generally more, like athletes usually. And I think that more people are mesomorphs than anything else. I could be wrong about that. Don't quote me on that. Or maybe it's even proportion. Maybe it's like 30%, 30%. You know what I mean? But either way, maybe it's a third each. I don't know. But I'm like a mesomorph. So I wasn't like fat from a young age. But then this is what happened around 7th or 8th grade. Maybe even before that, around 5th grade, I started eating badly. Like I would eat McDonald's all the time, lots of bad food all the time, chicken fingers for dinner all the time. And my parents would kind of let it happen, but I don't blame them, because if I didn't get what I wanted, I would turn into like a big fag, you know what I mean? And then I get that they just like, if I had a kid, I would probably just be like, shut up, just eat the McDonald's, you know what I mean? And I don't fault them for that, because it's hard to discipline and like to make a disciplined kid. That takes a lot of effort. And luckily I've figured out how to discipline myself. And my parents did discipline me, but not with the food at least. They were more into like grades. You know what I mean? They were more Asian in that sense. So that took a toll. So by the time I was in like 7th or 8th grade, I'm what you would call certified husky, right? That's what I called it. And my nickname that I give that version of myself when I was like, I mean, everyone's awkward in 8th grade, but imagine being husky and having buck teeth. I was old Husky Bucktooth, right? That's what you can call me. That's how you can refer to my 8th grade self, is Husky Bucktooth, right? And then I got braces. This was a nightmare, you know what I mean? So I had zero self-confidence. You know what was the bane of my existence for years was pool parties. I would never want to go to a pool party. I'm like, people already got to see my face. I can't wear a veil like a Muslim woman. I can't wear like a burqa. So people had to see the buck teeth part, but they didn't have to see the husky part. I could wear sweatshirts. That's why they invented sweatshirts. So you could hide how fat you really are, right? Am I getting that right? And that's why you get an extra large shirt, even though you're really a large. So I had zero confidence, right? So let's skip forward, because this will get to like the whole weight loss thing. Let's skip forward to, okay, well, actually, let's take a pit stop here. Between the age of 17 and 19, I joined a sports team, right? All my friends were on the lacrosse team, so I played on the lacrosse team. The reason why I got on the lacrosse team is not because I'm athletically gifted by any means. It's because there were not enough people on the lacrosse team. So they would have just taken anyone. They probably would have taken a kid in a wheelchair. You know what I mean? Like, I just got on the team. I just showed up and I was on the team. But the nice thing about that is that when you're, and we had we had a coach who liked to make us work hard, and he had no idea. He didn't even know. He was the wrestling coach. He never played lacrosse. He didn't know anything about lacrosse, but he was wrestling coach. He knew how to get people in shape. Okay. And so this is the 17 to 19 phase. This is when I was like my full, when I was 6 feet tall, like that's how tall I am. So I was like my full, I had grown to as big as I was going to be. And I was basically in this range of 170 to 180 pounds. This appears to be 170 to 180 appears to be like my healthy range. And currently I'm at 190, right? So we're getting there. But that appears to be where my body is at peak performance, we'll say. So that was also when I had self-confidence in excess. Because between 17 and 19, not only was I getting a lot of aerobic exercise by going to lacrosse practice all the time, I was also lifting weights. And so for the first time in my life, I was actually physically fit and I had muscles. And so the self-confidence, quickly, there was too much of it. And so I was a cocky asshole, you know, not as cocky as some people get, but too cocky for my own good. That's not me, you know, like my cockiness is more like when I'm on stage and I'm in my stage character and I'm like, I say something hilarious and I'm like, I don't even know how I do it. I'm like, how do I even do this? You know what I mean? I'm like, that just popped out of I'm like, that just was off the top of my head. Like, how am I even doing this right now? That's more of what I'm gonna have fun with it now. But this was for real. Like, I really thought I was the shit. And so that was 17 to 19. And okay, so this was the thing about this point in my life is that I realized the value of lifting weights. So this will be our first tip, right? Okay. Believe it or not, lifting weights is probably the easiest way to lose weight quickly because you can still eat basically whatever you want. This more applies to men, and I am not one to concede points. Like, I'm not big into, I think this would be an understatement if I said I'm not big into feminism. But there is one point that they have where men definitely have it easier. This is the only point I'm going to concede. Men definitely have it easier when it comes to losing weight, especially if they lift weights. If you want to lose weight quickly and you're a man and you don't have, and you're not prone to injury, then you should lose weight because you're going to really quickly lose weight, especially if you control your calories. But you don't even really have to control your calories because your body's going to be just burning calories all day. So that's what happens when you lift weights. I briefly in college was an exercise science major, and then I wanted to be a gym teacher. So I learned some of this stuff. And so it's called EPOC. I forget what that even stands for. But basically all you need to know is this. When you go for a run, you burn calories, right? First, your body warms up. That's the first 20 minutes or so. And then after the 20-minute mark, your body is burning calories. And so first it's burning carbs, and then if you run long enough, it starts burning fat. And so that's like called aerobic oxidation or something like that. You could also walk. Walking burns less fat. Walking burns less calories in general, but it burns more fat. So this is something called beta oxidation. Okay. Am I getting too scientific here? I barely even know what I'm talking about. But basically, if you walk for like an hour, you'll burn as much fat as if you jog for like 30 minutes, right? So you'd have to walk a lot longer, but walking is also really good. So I recommend walking as well. If you don't I hate jogging. I don't do it. I could probably jog like an eighth of a mile before I'd be gassed. But I could walk all day, son. So let's see. So what else did I write here? Oh yeah, so EPOC, basically, all that means is that basically when you go for a run and you're doing aerobic exercise, then you burn calories until you're done running. And then you get home and then you hang out. The calories are no longer being burnt. The second, basically, this almost immediately after you stop exercising, doing aerobic exercise, you stop burning calories. But if you lift weights, then something called EPOC happens. I'm probably butchering this, but I know that this is true. And so your body burns calories afterwards. So imagine this. Imagine this. It's like a cliff with aerobic exercise. It's like aerobic. Imagine you're running along, burning calories. Then you stop, and then the calories just fall off a cliff. And your body's not burning calories anymore. It's like directly down. But when you lift weights, EPOC looks like a slope down. And so it gradually goes down. And so your body's still burning calories, and then it stops. That's why lifting weights is so useful. And I think some women don't like to lift weights because they're worried that they'll get jacked. But like, if you just got jacked that easily, then every man would be jacked. Right? It doesn't work like that. Now, if you start taking steroids and lifting weights every day, then yeah, you're going to get jacked. But if you just lift light weights and you can make it so your body will continue to burn some of these calories over time. That's going to be really useful. But here's the thing. I have lost weight time and time again using this weightlifting strategy. I mean, maybe I've done this like 5 or 6 times, right? Where it never lasts for me. I'll work out hard for like 2.5 weeks and then I'll fall off completely. Even if it's months at a time, I'll hit a point where I get too busy or too lazy and I stop going to the gym and everything goes to shit. This is because I wasn't disciplining myself in other ways. I would go to the gym and lift, but that was the only thing I did to lose weight. That was the one thing. So there was nothing to fall back on to stay in shape in the event of something coming up, which would result in me not being able to go to the gym. Whatever that was, even if it was just out of laziness. I wouldn't have other strategies. Like I was relying too much on the weightlifting. I wasn't changing my diet. I wasn't changing any of my bad habits. I was just lifting the weights. And also, I have lower back problems because of lifting too heavy. So this is where you have to be careful. If you're going to be lifting weights, you have to be really careful because, I got really cocky and I was like, I basically was like, I was probably squatting. It doesn't matter what the weight was. I don't remember. But I remember I was feeling good and I was like, I'm just going to squat 50 more pounds than I usually do. Never do that, okay? Don't even squat 20 more pounds than you usually do. Go like 5 or 10 pounds at a time. And so I basically fucked up my lower back. It's still to this day, there's some damage. And so that was bad news. And so obviously I can't go to the gym. Whenever that would happen, the first time it happened, I had to go to physical therapy and stuff. I couldn't even like walk for a couple days. It was bad. And then whenever it flares up, like whenever I would get careless in the gym, doing bad form or lifting too much weight, it would flare up. And then my back would be fucked up. Now I can't go to the gym for a month again, right? And so it's like, it wasn't a good strategy for me. I'm sure it's a good strategy for a lot of people. There's plenty of guys that you see that are like brick shit houses. Am I using that word right? Is that what a jacked person, is that what a brick shit house is? A jacked person? Well, whatever. You see plenty of them. So yeah, lifting is what caused my back issues in the first place. And then my back issues prevented me from lifting, you see? So that was the problem. Now, if you're going to do the weightlifting, just build it into a cycle of other things that you do to be healthy and to lose weight. Don't make it the main thing. It can be part of the system. Maybe you lift weights. To me, the healthy way to do it, the best way to do it is to maybe lift not even that heavy. Just go for reps, like try to do more curls, try to do more dumbbell curls instead of doing fewer at heavier weight. Does that make sense? And then you can do that like 3 days a week and you'll build muscle tone. But really, this is more about just losing weight in general. This is what this is. It's not necessarily to make you a peak physical specimen. It's just to lose weight. Like that's what I'm trying to do. I don't know about you. You can get a little muscle definition while you're at it. Okay? So you might as well. And it's kind of fun to lift weights once you get in the swing of things. It is kind of fun. Especially if you're lifting weights is the least fun when you're lifting really heavy, because then you're like feel like you're going to pass out because you're pushing so hard. But if you're lifting lighter and then going for reps, it's like kind of fun. I actually enjoy it. It's pretty zen. And you just put some music in or a podcast or just do it in silence. But, so I would say I would recommend doing the weightlifting, but not the main thing. Couple days a week. That's all you need. Lighter weight. Don't go crazy. Don't hurt yourself, okay? So that was what happened during the age of 17 to 19. A lot of weightlifting, getting into very good shape, but then hurting myself as a result of using the lifting strategy. Also becoming a cocky asshole for like a year or two, which was bad. It was bad news. Rub people the wrong way. It's not a way to live. So let's go to age 21 to 25 and a half. Okay? This is a phase that I call my drunken degenerate phase. And this phase was 190 pounds to 220 pounds. These are phases in my life, right? So we had Husky Bucktooth phase, and that was like 13 to 17. And then we had cocky asshole phase, and that was 17 to 19, where I was 170 to 180 pounds. There's no point in telling you the weight that I was when I was Husky Bucktooth because I wasn't as tall as I would be. So it was irrelevant. But now we have drunken degenerate phase. So this is age 21 to 25 and a half. It's 190 pounds to 220 pounds at the heaviest. So it isn't as though I was not drinking before this phase. I know this is called the drunken degenerate phase. That might lead you to believe that before this phase I wasn't drinking, but I was. And because I was in college, and like, so between, 17 and 20, whatever, I was in college, and but I was a weekend drinker. So before 21, I was a weekend drinker. I was a weekend warrior. And so I would do my binge drinking, but I would only do it basically on like Friday, and then sometimes Friday and Saturday. But then at age 21, I started comedy. And so basically, here's a formula for you. Is this a formula? No, it's like an equation. Here's an equation for you. Stage anxiety plus being at a bar every night equals binge drinking all the time. Okay? And so it started as me going to one open mic per week. And so now, instead of just binge drinking on Friday and Saturday, I was binge drinking on Friday, Saturday, and Monday when I would go to the open mic. But then I wanted to get better at comedy. I got to go to more open mics. So then I added Sunday. Okay, so now I'm binge drinking Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and so on and so forth, adding in more days and more nights of binge drinking. And even when I wouldn't drink that much, like a light night would be, at least 2 beers. I never had 1 beer. I'm not a person who has the I don't yet have the self-control to do that. And I've come a long way in terms of self-control and discipline, and I guess I could at this point, but like I don't even see the point. Like I don't even get that when people say they don't drink to get tipsy, but they just drink cuz maybe they just like beer. Beer's like, it's neither here nor there for me. I could drink a Coke, that's fine. Or a seltzer or whatever. I don't need a beer. So I'd rather just not drink than drink 1 beer is what I'm trying to say. But let's get back here. So 21 to 25 and a half, drunken degenerate phase. And so now I'm binge drinking basically 4 to 5 times a week. This is obviously horrible for your body. It's horrible for a lot of reasons. Because I'll be hungover, so I won't want to go to the gym. And also, drinking that much, you're taking in like 500 to 1,000 more calories, right? And your body's just not working so well. So that's what was going on then. And so early in this phase, the drunken degenerate phase, I hit 190 pounds. And I remember when I hit 190, I remember thinking like, that's a lot. Wow. I remember thinking, wow, that's a lot. And I basically managed to fluctuate in these early years of my drunken degenerate phase, around the age of 21 to 22. I managed to fluctuate using the weightlifting strategy, and I was still doing all the horrible things like drinking and not eating well, but just using the lifting strategy and then hurting myself every couple months. But I would fluctuate between 180 and 195 for a long time. Eventually, I hit 200 pounds, which is a big milestone for anyone who's my height, who's like 6 feet or 5'10". Once you hit 200, it's like, unless you're very muscular, like you're not supposed to be 200 pounds. If you're just a regular fella and you're as tall as I am, we're not supposed to be 200 pounds, okay? That's too much. And I kind of, at that point, became pretty apathetic. So once I hit 200, I was like, well, whatever. I guess I'm just not going to lose the weight then. You know what I mean? And so it was probably only about a year from hitting 200 that I went up to like 220. So that was probably between somewhere around 23 to 25, somewhere in that range where I hit 200. I was like, well, fuck it, man. Who cares? I'll just be fat then. And then I went up pretty relatively quickly to 220. And even like once I hit 200 pounds, I didn't even want to look at the scale. So I didn't look for a long time. And then I went on vacation. Oh, yeah. So this happened recently. This happened a few months ago. This happened less than a year ago. I remember I went on vacation with my friends. And one of my friends, oh, Steve. Hey, what's up, Steve? Steve took a picture of me. And I got a big belly, dude, because I was really bloated from drinking beer. And it was already just a big belly. So when I got home, I was like, I got to see how heavy I am after seeing that picture. And so I was 220. And I was like, at that point, I was like, okay. I was getting these new folds like on my back. It's so weird. It's like right where your elbows are. Press your elbows. Do a favor for me. Take your elbows and press them into your torso, right? Press them into your torso. You see where that point is? You see how when you like tilt your body in a little bit, you can feel that the skin like folds, right? Well, I was just getting folds like on both sides of my body, like not doing anything. So I was getting new folds, and I didn't like how that felt. It felt weird. And I was like, oh, this is why fat people smell like that, because like water gets trapped in there. I don't know if you guys knew this, but that's why fat people smell like that sometimes. If they don't have the best hygiene, it's because like they take a shower and they don't dry as well as they should in the folds. And then it's like you're basically smelling like rancid water or whatever. I don't want to gross you out too much, but I was like getting those folds and I was like, I don't like this. And so I decided that then that 220 would have to be the limit. I couldn't get higher than 220. I couldn't let it get worse than that because I knew that was going to be a slippery slope. And 220, I could still move. You know what I mean? Like I could still go play pickup basketball and stuff or tennis and things like that. And I could still move around. And so I knew there was still hope that I'd have the energy to get rid of the weight. But even when just getting to 220, I was getting hurt way more easily. So the back problem became worse. And that was even happening before. Once I hit 200, it was like the back problem was getting worse. And I was hurting myself more often. And so I started to be more careful. And after that 220 thing a few months ago, this was around the time that I was drinking less. And so I knew I could knock down those numbers a bit. And so I started working out, nothing crazy. This was a few months ago. This was probably around November of 2018. And I started working out a bit, nothing crazy, like I said, going on the elliptical for like 30 minutes or whatever. Not even that often. And I was eating better. And I got down to 210 pounds pretty quick. And it's around the same time that I decided I really need to seriously not drink alcohol anymore. This was around that time. Not entirely, but I knew that I needed to stop at least during the week and try to limit it to like one day, if anything, right? And so I say to myself, well, usually when people quit a vice, like this is what my feeling was. I was like, well, usually when people quit a vice like drinking or smoking, they gain weight. Have you heard that before? People say when someone quits smoking, they gain weight because they eat more. Because it's more eating. They're eating just to not drink or to not smoke. It's not because they're hungry, right? And I started to do that basically. I was drinking less and smoking less. And so I was eating more. And I allowed myself to do that. I used that excuse. I said, well, I'm trying to get rid of this vice. I'm trying to get rid of this bad vice, which is alcohol. And so I'll allow myself to eat at open mics instead of drinking. I'll allow myself to eat shit, like chicken fingers and stuff and pizza. And so quickly as quickly as I got down to 210 pounds, I was back up to 220 pounds again. I was once again at the limit that I had set for myself, and I was like, fuck. So then I decided once I got to 220 again, I was like, fuck this. I'm not going to justify overeating. I'm just going to replace drinking. Like, I'm not just going to replace the drinking with eating. I'm going to have some discipline. That's what I decided this time. I'm going to have some discipline. And this is would be the beginning of my journey of actual discipline and gaining control over the voice in my head and governing my own actions. Like, the voice doesn't control. The voice in my head can tell me all at once that I should go to Wendy's right now because I'm hungry. But I'm the one who makes the decision to eat the Wendy's. So the voice is nothing. And a big one, I learned how to go to sleep hungry. And again, like whenever I say these things, I don't mean like you're starving to death. But if you're a little bit hungry and you're about to go into the kitchen, like I would always just succumb to that. I would always just be a little bit hungry. I'd be like, well, I'll eat before bed. And then I would start to eat. And then it was disgusting. The amount of calories that I would eat at night sometimes, I would sometimes eat an entire day's worth and a half. Like sometimes at night, I would eat like literally 3,000 calories worth of garbage, complete garbage. And then I go to sleep like bloated, like almost want to throw up. It's a lot better to go to sleep hungry than to do that. For me, it is. And I got like digestive issues and stuff. I got an Eastern European Jew digestive system, so things aren't great. Let's just say that. And so eating anything before going to bed for me almost guarantees that I'll have like indigestion, acid reflux, so it's just no good for me. So I learned how to go to sleep hungry. This was a big step. And that was basically like 5 or 6 months ago. The biggest difference between what I've been doing now versus what I was doing then is that this time it's been slowly and gradually losing weight over time. It used to be like violent fluctuations of 5 or 10 pounds in 1 or 2 weeks. Like, I had heard my mom tell me that before. Because my mom and my sister are really, they're really into nutrition and health. And my mom would tell me that if I'd be like, Mom, it's great, I lost 10 pounds this week. And she'd be like, you're not supposed to do that. Like, she'd be like, that's good, but like it never lasts. And there's lots of reasons why it never lasts. And for me, it was because I didn't it was like I was telling you about weightlifting being the only thing. It's because I only had one thing. And then I had no self-control though. I only had enough self-control to force myself to go to the gym. And I was almost going to the gym to justify eating horrible things later. So I could justify the 2,000 calorie fried chicken sandwich because I went to the gym for an hour. This is probably a bad way to go about losing weight. And it certainly wasn't my experience. But the biggest difference this time and the 30 pounds that I've lost now in 5.5 months is that it's been 5.5 months. So it wasn't a week or two. I also haven't been thinking about it as much. I had always put so much pressure on myself. I put so much pressure on myself to lose the weight, to get the physique that I wanted so I can go to pool parties and not feel like an asshole. And it just wasn't motivating enough. And the motivating factors this time have been different things. And it's not about, I only recently realized that thing that I was telling you guys about, the ideal self, or like visualizing my ideal self and that person is in good shape. It was only recently that I read that Nietzsche passage and I started having these thoughts, but I was losing weight before that. And the reason was because it's really similar. You remember when I told you guys about that, that comedy? It was like a little competition, 16 comics, right? And I won that competition. But I won the competition because I didn't care. Like, I really didn't care. And I think that one of the reasons why I've lost as much weight as I have this time around, because I've never lost this much since I was basically like 19 or 18. I never lost this much without fucking up. And I think it's because I really don't care about the losing weight part or the looking good part. I care more about I like waking up with energy. Okay, so I can't, just stuff my face at night, or I'll wake up feeling like shit. I can't drink, or I'll wake up feeling like shit. There's other reasons I can't drink. I can't be productive if I drink. Well, that cuts out calories too. I don't want to feel like an asshole in the middle of the day after I eat lunch, so I can't eat giant sandwiches at lunch. You know what I ate for lunch today? Carrots. That's it. That's what I ate for lunch today. Fucking carrots. And it wasn't particularly enjoyable. I don't mind carrots, but I would have loved to get fried chicken, dude. I would have loved that with some fucking barbecue sauce on it, but I didn't because it would have ruined my day. And so we'll get to the points. Let me just finish this. It's almost done. And so I also didn't really pay that much attention to it. Like, I basically weighed myself once. After I bounced back up to 220, which is where we left off, I checked like 2 weeks later and I was 208. Maybe it was more than that. It was probably a month later and I was like 208 pounds. That was the next time I checked. And I was happy. I was like, this is a milestone. For the first time in a long time, I made it under 210. So that was basically in over a year, the first time I was under 210 pounds. So I decided the same way I decided at 210, like when I was 220, I decided this is the limit now. 220 is the limit. That's the ceiling. Well, I decided the same thing when I hit 208. I was like, okay, 210 is the ceiling now. That's the new ceiling. And so I didn't weigh myself for a couple months. And then all of a sudden, like, my pants weren't fitting so well anymore, in a good way. Like, they were too loose. And so I was like, well, that must be a good sign. And then I weighed myself again, like a couple months later after the 208. This must have been, we're getting really recent now. This is probably like a month and a half or 2 months ago. And I was like 200, I think, or like 201. And I was like, okay, new ceiling. 200's the new ceiling. And now I'm down to 190. Okay? So it's just, I feel like, oh man, don't say it, Dave. Don't say slow and steady wins the race. That would be super corny. Okay, I won't say it. But that's exactly what I mean. Because that works. That really works. I mean, it's worked for me. That's all I can tell you. And it's been easy. And I haven't been like exerting myself at the gym and sweating all the time. So this is the current phase, which is the beginning of the creation of my ideal self phase, right? Like where I'll get, because I feel like once I get there, it'll be easy to maintain. Like it's easier to maintain your current weight than to lose weight. And for some people to gain weight. Some people have a hard time gaining weight, which that must be fun, but I don't know what that's like. And now we're getting to that part. We're almost there where my body will actually reflect what I want the world to see. Because I do discipline myself now more than I ever did before. And the more discipline I introduce into my life, the more my physique reflects that. And so, yeah, I mean, when you see someone and they have a good physique and they didn't use performance enhancing drugs or whatever, then like it or not, that person is very disciplined, at least with their eating and working out regimen and their discipline. Okay, now we'll go to the ideas. These are ways to lose weight that I have been utilizing, or things that I will utilize that I thought of. So this is the part that, if you fast forwarded past all that stuff, that just, wow, dude, this has been a long podcast. I didn't even realize. I just looked at how long it was. Okay, so this is for people who wanted to skip all that stuff. This is my ways to lose weight. Just a few ideas that I've been doing that have really been working for me, and then some things that I plan to do that I think that'll work better. So the first thing is, this is not specifically, I don't mean this specifically, but this is just an example. Like, eat carrots for lunch, Your lunch, I mean, I've told you guys about this. Lunch is a conspiracy theory made by rich people, okay? Lunch is a conspiracy theory made by rich, powerful people to keep the common folk down. And so that's why you think it's cool. That's why you think, I'm not going to say you, that's why I always thought that a lunch food was a big sandwich with 2,000 calories. No, dude, the man wanted me to be fat and weak because then I wouldn't be dangerous to them and I wouldn't undermine their authority. You see? But if you eat carrots for lunch, you become a superhero. Maybe you don't like carrots. Okay, well, you know what you should do if you don't like carrots? Eat carrots for lunch anyway. Because I don't like carrots either, but I fucking eat them for lunch. That's a lie. I kind of like carrots, but not that much. And you know what? If you don't like carrots that much, then eat celery for lunch. Just eat vegetables at lunch. You can dip them in some ranch. That's fine. But just eat veggies at lunch. This is going to make you a superhero until dinner. And so this way, every day, you'll be kind of a superhero until dinner. And that's big time. And then if you eat a healthy dinner, you can even keep that superheroism going for the rest of the day. Now here's another one. This one's huge. This is big time. This is maybe the most important one. This is maybe the most important factor of how I've been able to lose weight over the past few months. You can't eat after 8. 8 o'clock that's it. It's over. Food is done for the day at 8 o'clock. Maybe you can push to 8:30, but that's all. Give your body time to digest all night, okay? Starting at 8 before you go to bed. Then by the time you go to bed, it's just got to do a little bit more digesting, and then you can get a really restful sleep. This is going to make you so much healthier. And it really doesn't even matter what you're eating before 8. So this is the other thing. It's a numbers game. Everyone knows 2,000 calories, okay? And maybe that is different slightly for certain people. Maybe for some people they can eat 2,200 calories, and maybe some people eat 1,800 calories, but it's all around there. So it's a numbers game. So if you wake up in the morning, you go get a coffee and a croissant, now you're at 300 or 400 calories for the day. Then at lunch you eat carrots, and now you're at like 600 calories for the day because you dipped them in some ranch. And now you get to dinner, you're at 600 calories. You could eat 1,000-calorie dinner, and you can really eat whatever you want. You could eat 2 slices of pizza or something. I'm not telling you how to be super healthy. I'm telling you how to lose weight, which will make you healthier. Obviously, ideally, you would want to eat like salmon at dinner with some like string beans and sweet potato. But you don't have to do that. You could even go don't get fast food, but you know what I'm trying to say. It's a numbers game. And so these are 2 big things. Lunch is huge. Maximum 400 calories at lunch. Don't eat more than 400 calories at lunch. And don't eat after 8 p.m. 8 p.m. that's the end. That's the end. You hear how I just slapped my hand on the table? That's passion. 8 p.m. That's it. No more food after 8. This is big time, dude. This is huge. I can't overstate it. I can't overstate it. I mean, in the morning, as far as breakfast goes, I don't even drink black coffee. I can't drink black coffee. I drink sweetened coffee. And so, yeah, there's some calories there. I drink like a large sweetened coffee with some half and half, and there's like 200 calories. But it's okay. It's a numbers game. That just means I can't go as crazy at night when I'm eating dinner. I got to knock off 200 calories at night. But you can knock off calories all throughout the day. This is the next point. You can knock out little amounts of calories all throughout the day. Like, I can't drink black coffee and I don't like it. But I can drink unsweetened tea. I like unsweetened tea. So that knocks out like 50 calories right there. If I get my tea without the sweetener in there, just knock out calories like that, left and right. You're going to be doing good. You should, well, if you're, like now when I'm always at the bars doing comedy, I don't drink alcohol anymore, which is the other big one. Maybe this is the biggest one. They're all so important. So I don't know what I would say is more important. Probably not drinking alcohol is the most important, and then not eating after 8 is the second most important, and then not stuffing your face at lunch is the next most important. So the top one is definitely not drinking. And then while I'm out at these shows, I was drinking soda as my replacement to alcohol, but now I just drink seltzer because I like seltzer. Put a little lemon or a lime in there, and it's all good. And then it's 0 calories. So that's the way to go. Learn to prefer seltzer over soda, but you can still have soda sometimes. Now, this is the next point. This is point number 5. Point number 5 is have a little self-control, you weak bitch. Okay? That one's a little harsh, but sometimes you got to be a little harsh. And sometimes you got to have a little bit of self-control. That, I think, would be a really important one. That one's also really important, but that factors into the other ones. If you have a little bit of self-control, then you'll be able to not eat after 8 p.m. And if you have a little bit of self-control, maybe you'll be able to not drink every night. Maybe you'll be able to drink one night a week. And if you have a little self-control, you'll get seltzer instead of soda. And you won't eat a giant sandwich at lunch. Now let's see. Here's another good one. When you find yourself uselessly wasting time, just move around while you do it. Like, it's hard to write and walk. I can't do that. When I'm writing, I have to sit down and write. But if I'm listening to a podcast, I can just go outside for a walk. You know what I mean? Like, I don't have to be sitting down or laying down listening to a podcast. I can just go for a walk. So move around a little bit more. And walking is big time. I mean, that factors into the whole, like, slowly losing weight over time. Like, you don't have to go out and do wind sprints. You could just walk. And things are going to happen more slowly. But you'll just continue to lose weight every day. And every day you'll be like 0.2 pounds less than the day before. And then in a year, you'll be like 45 pounds less or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, you're playing the long game. It's the same thing that I talk about. It's big picture stuff. We got to look at a big picture. We're playing the long game. We're not looking for easy, quick fixes. We're playing the long game. Building foundation, building self-control, building discipline, building good habits. And then you'll reap the benefits in due time. Now, I already told you lifting weights is the easiest way to lose weight quick. So if you really, it's May right now. If you really want to get in shape for beach season, then I would say just carefully, don't hurt yourself. But if you lift heavy, you will lose weight quickly, definitely. So it's just an idea. But the likelihood that you're not going to get hurt, I don't know. It depends on who you are as a person. If you know that you're prone to getting injuries sometimes, then I wouldn't do this. I would just do the longer way. Or just, then you're going to have to jog instead of walk. But playing the quick game, it just doesn't work. It's like the lottery, man. It's just like, it's for stupid people. Don't drink alcohol. I already said that. I think I wrote it twice by accident, but that's how important it is, people. Let's see. Just because it's on your plate doesn't mean you have to eat it. There's such thing as a to-go box. Yeah, so you can take that food to go. You don't have to finish the whole thing. You can eat half of the burger now and half of the burger tomorrow. You don't have to, like we have gigantic plates. They give you enough fries for 2 people. So maybe you shouldn't eat all the fries. Maybe you should eat some of the fries today and some of the fries tomorrow. Because I would always clean the plate, basically. Bad news. I'd be having 5,000 calorie days. It's the man keeping me down, keeping me fat, keeping me weak. While they collect. You know what I mean? Okay. How about this? This one's good. This one's important. You're driving home late. You see the Wendy's sign. You see it in the distance. It beckons to you. Wendy's like, yeah, come on. Wendy's like, yeah, come on. Come over here. Get these burgers. Come on, Dave, get these burgers. That's the devil, son. That's the devil. Resist the devil. Always resist the devil. Whenever you're driving home late at night, and you see fast food, and you see the golden arches, or you see Wendy's smiling face, it's the devil. Resist the devil. The next tip is that you should bully yourself. I learned this from David Goggins. Anyone who doesn't know David Goggins should just watch a clip on YouTube, and you'll probably get motivated. But he's not a motivational speaker, really. I mean, he is, but he was like a Navy SEAL, and he's a baller. But you should bully yourself. And so sometimes I'll do that at night. I mean, it's like the same thing. Well, how do you get yourself to not stop at Wendy's? I mean, sometimes I'll see the Wendy's sign, and then the voice in my head is like, Dave, you should do it. And then I'll say to myself, because you know how there's like, you have like the responsible voice in your head and then the irresponsible voice in your head. It's like the angel and the devil on each shoulder. Well, when the one voice is like, Dave, come on, you've been really good this week. Why don't you go get some Wendy's? Then I'll be like, my other voice will be like, yeah, you would like that, wouldn't you, you bitch? You know what I mean? Bully yourself a little bit. Tough love. You know, sometimes I have to be like, oh yeah, good idea. Yeah, let's go get man boobs again. Let's go get bitch tits again. That's a good idea. You know, because we work so hard to get rid of those. Let's just ruin it. Let's just completely ruin it. You're right. Dave's voice number one. You're right. Why don't we go get Wendy's? Good fucking idea. Let's go eat 5,000 calories in one sitting at night before bed. That's a great idea. Bully yourself, okay? Bully yourself. Don't get used to new rolls and creases on your body, right? Remember I told you about the rolls on the side of my body? Don't get used to them. Because eventually you will. Try not to get used to them as hard as you can. Just be like, this is uncomfortable. I don't like it. Use it as motivation. This is the last tip that I have. This is kind of a more practical one, just on a day-to-day. This is something that I was doing for a while. This one might be kind of hard because I'm not even going to be a hater and pretend for a second that I don't like a good sandwich. I go to a deli, I get a good sandwich. I still have cheat days, man. You know, I do. Like, some days the devil wins, okay? I'm not perfect. I'm far from it. And sometimes I just need a good sandwich, but it's not every day. But we all know there's no replacement for a good sandwich, but maybe just take the stuff you would put on the sandwich and put it in a salad instead. Because then you can have a baller ass salad. And it'll be better for you because at least you'll get nutrients. And you knock out calories from the bread. And there's probably not as... Like, instead of getting a chicken bacon ranch sandwich, just put chicken and bacon and ranch in a salad. So just, go to the salad bar, put a bunch of lettuce and spinach in there. And some tomatoes, and then put some chicken in there and put some bacon in there and put some ranch dressing. Is it super healthy? Of course it's not. But is it way healthier than a sandwich? Definitely it is. And you'll probably eat less chicken and bacon than you would have on a sandwich. But I do like my ranch. You guys know that about me. I do like my ranch. So that's what I have so far for ways to lose weight. To be honest, I didn't put too much thought into it. I mean, this was just my list of 10 things for today. It ended up being 15 things. And I already told you that when you do the 10 ideas a day, like, sometimes you're going to write way more than 10. And maybe some of those ideas, maybe some of the ideas that I just told you need some work. I'm willing to bet that they do. But this is a good place to start. And so these are the things that I've been doing and the things that I'll continue to do. And maybe in like a month, I'll do another like weight loss episode and we can check in and I can see if I'm at that magical number that I'm looking for. It's not really about the number. It's more like about the journey, No, it's not. It's not. That wasn't how I wanted to say it. It's not about the journey. Well, it is. It's always about the journey and the process. But it's more like I want to get to the point where I keep doing this, and it seems like there will be a point where I stop losing weight, really. You know what I mean? Like, I can only get the weight can only go so low before my body's like, okay, this is where I want to be at. I'm going to listen to my body. And once I get to the weight, then my body's like, this is good, Dave. And everything seems to get better. Like, I'm telling you, my coordination's gotten better. I have more energy. I'm just performing better in all aspects. Even on stage, I'm a better comedian, So, like I said, this isn't going to make you the healthiest human being on the planet, but you will lose weight because I've been losing weight, and you will lose weight slowly. So don't get discouraged if you only lose 2 pounds in a week because you lost 2 pounds. That's what you got to focus on. Don't focus on the amount of time that it took. Unless you lost 2 pounds in a year, then maybe you should be working a little harder, right? I think we can all agree there. But I'll check back in like a month, see where I'm at, see if I have new ideas that I can add, and then I'll probably put this all into a blog post that looks kind of nice. And I'm not even like a nutritionist or anything, but these are just like, you live it and you can talk about it. I wouldn't be telling you about it if I was still 220 pounds because I would have no credibility. But the fact that I've lost 30 pounds gives me some credibility. And it's all about finding things you have credibility, and then you can talk about them, and then you can write about them, and you actually have some evidence and some credibility. That's what it's about. You can't give people comedy advice until you're funny. You can't give people weight loss advice until you've lost weight. So, thanks for listening. I know this one was long, but we had like a whole origin story of my man boobs and Husky Bucktooth, and we learned a lot of things about me, and hopefully you took something away from it. Thank you for listening. I love you as always. Subscribe to the podcast, rate it 5 stars, tell a friend. Goodbye.